Insider Tim McMahon to the show. Thank you for joining us, Tim.
RJ, looking good as usual, baby.
Oh, man, thank you. You don't have to. So I'll say it one more time.
As usual.
Thank you. Tim, look, let's get started. You reported that John Wall will not play as the Rockets work to find a trade for him. What's next? What's the next move for the Houston Rockets and John Wall, who is owed over $90 million the next 2 seasons?
Yeah, and therein lies the problem, right? This is not 5-time All-Star in his prime, John Wall. This is a guy who's played 40 games over the last couple of years because of injuries. And honestly, what's next? John Wall probably does not want to hear this, but it's hurry up and wait, because it's very difficult to see a trade partner that makes sense for both sides. You know, the Rockets aren't trying to take back a long-term deal that isn't going to fit with their rebuild. Also, the Rockets aren't trying to incentivize this by throwing a first-round pick or picks in. So my guess is this ends up being a buyout situation next summer.
Well, and it's tough because you see that he's only 31 and 32, so he's still ideally in his prime. Do you think he still has enough to warrant that? We thought Chris Paul might have been done a couple years ago, and he had this amazing resurgence in Oklahoma City and in Phoenix, taking their team all the way to the NBA Finals. Do you think John Wall has another gear left?
Well, and Chris Paul, there was questions, is he declining? He'd had some injury issues. His injury issues were things like hamstrings, short-term things. Not the kind of injuries that John Wall came back from. And look, do I think John Wall can still be a productive NBA point guard? Yes. The problem, again, is the salary. If John Wall is a free agent, I think there'd be significant interest in him at the mid-level exception, not at a supermax deal. So a lot of room between those.
Okay, well, let's move on to the Spurs. Greg Popovich completed a gold medal run coaching Team USA this summer, but he returns to a younger San Antonio team that doesn't have DeMar DeRozan, no Rudy Gay. How much longer do you see Greg Popovich coaching?
The simple answer, and you played for me, this, the simple answer is as long as he wants. and look, Pop, he's not going to have anything remotely resembling a retirement tour. He ain't sitting in any rocking chairs and visiting arenas. So I really think it's a year-to-year situation at this point. And Pop will probably go out the same way Tim Duncan did. A very brief press conference. He'll sip on some wine and ride off into the sunset.
Yeah, that sounds like Pop. Well, Tim Duncan kind of just didn't tell anybody and then just disappeared, which is part of the reason why I can't stand him. But lastly, I wanted to talk about their rivals.
This is why they boo you in San Antonio.
Well, no, they booed me in San Antonio because I was trash there. But lastly, I wanted to ask you about their rivals, Luka and the Mavericks. Our ESPN West forecast has them at 48-win team right now. But what do you think that accomplishes for the Dallas Mavericks next season?
Yeah, look, they need to have higher ambitions than that. It's time for the Mavericks to break through that first round. And look, to do that, they're probably not going to see Kawhi Leonard in the first round. That's one good thing. But they need to be a top 4 team in the Western Conference. And look, the Mavericks, if you look at kind of early February on when they got over that team-wide kind of COVID bout, they played at about a 55-win pace if you look at a full regular season. That's where they need to be. I think that's possible, and we've talked before. They need a better version of Kristaps Porzingis. That's their hope to take a significant step and not just kind of break through the first round.
Yeah, but you're talking about Lakers, you're talking about Golden State, you're talking about all the teams, the Phoenix Suns, the Utah Jazz. Do they have enough to be a top 4 team, even if Porzingis takes another step up to kind of getting back to the player he was in New York?
This is a selective sample size, but I mentioned once they got over the COVID and got guys back in shape for about a 50-game stretch there, they were the 5th best team in the NBA. They had the 5th best record in the NBA. So I think they didn't hit it big in free agency and in the summer, but I think they got a couple role players who fit well with Luka. And again, it's a big if, but if Porzingis can be, to me, it's more about can he be a factor, a positive factor. He was a factor on the defensive end last year, but a positive factor instead of a negative. Then I think they've got a chance to be a team that can compete in the Western Conference.
All right. Well, good information. Thank you so much for joining us, Tim.
Always a pleasure, RJ.
Now, the Cavaliers are trying to move up in the East after they finished 22-50 last season, drafting Evan Mobley, extending Jared Allen with a $100 million deal, and recently adding Ricky Rubio and Lauri Markkanen to the squad. Bear down. We are now welcomed in by Cavaliers head coach J.B. Bickerstaff to the show. Thank you for taking the time.
Appreciate you having me, man. You had to throw in that bear down, huh?
I had to throw in the bear down. You understand that as a former Oregon State Beaver. But let's start with your front court. You now have Mobley, Allen, Markkanen, and Kevin Love. What is your approach to maximizing those bigs and everything that they can do?
Well, the great part about them is they complement one another. Those guys can play together, whether it's Jared Allen's ability to roll to the basket, the three other guys' ability to pick and pop and shoot from space. They can guard multiple positions. So I think they give us a lot of versatility. All those guys are ball skilled as well. So we can put the ball in their hands and allow them to make plays. And then in the open court, as you see, allow them to use their speed and athleticism so that we can pick up our tempo and play faster.
Okay, specifically with Mobley, how do you get him acclimated to this league? Because there were people that had him as high as number 1, that you guys got him at 3. It looked like you guys got your guy that you wanted at 3.
There's no doubt about it. Going into the draft process, watching the film from him in college at USC, talking to people who knew him, and he was our guy. His ability to play with the ball in his hands at that size, he can put the ball on the floor, he can lead the break, he can really pass. And if you look at it, his mid-range game in college was really good as well. So the versatility, you don't find 7-foot guys who have the ball skill that he has very often, and it's our job to put him in position to be successful. But again, he's a defensive-minded guy, which helps. So that gives him an opportunity, blocking shots, defensive rebounding, playing the pick and roll, being able to switch on to smaller players. So that gives him an opportunity to set his base, and then we'll push the trigger on the offense as well. That's
awesome. You have so much young talent on this team, so I want to switch to your backcourt. Colin Sexton, Darius Garland, they averaged 40 points and 10 assists as a duo last season. What's the next stage for the growth of this young backcourt?
Well, I think it's figuring out the game within the game and how that translates to wins and what they have to do on a night in, night out basis to lead this team and push us in the right direction. As you mentioned, through this summer, we lost some of our veteran players, some of our older guys. So now we have these two guys and we're expecting them to lead us. So now how do you control the locker room? How do you control the huddle? Those are all things that they've been working on and improving. The skill is there. The talent is there. There's no doubt about it. But now, like all young point guards, that's a difficult position. We know that. And you've got to be able to control 14 other guys. You've got to be able to coach on the floor. You've got to be able to talk to the officials. You got to understand your opponent. So, that experience that they've gained over the past few years, we feel like they're ready to take a jump. And the best thing about it, if you look at them, is every single year that they've been in the league, they've improved. And that says a lot about them and their work ethic and their commitment to the Cavs.
Okay, look, ultimately, what are your goals for your team this season? And you did mention that you didn't have any vets. Is there any space for a 41-year-old guy that's been majoring in broadcasting the last 3 years?
Yeah, I think you're past veteran. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that stage is, but you're past that veteran stage.
Oh, you're
so if you got some younger friends, let us know. But no, but what we're looking for, man, is we want to be an exciting team to watch. Our guys are extremely unselfish. They compete their tails off every single night, and we expect that to continue. But what we're really looking for is we want people to come watch us and come see us and enjoy watching us play. We're young, we're dynamic, we're fast. Again, we've added some veterans in Ricky Rubio. Kevin Love is obviously still with us, and we know his skill set. So we feel like we can get out in the open court, play fast, and then really get after it defensively, use our length, protect the paint, block shots, get deflections, and let that trigger the break. So we want to be an exciting team to watch. We want to be a competitive team that our fan base can attach themselves to.
And let me tell you from firsthand experience, you have an amazing fan base there in Cleveland. So thank you for joining us so much, JB. And one last time, bear down, man. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Coming up, Kareem says he's excited to see LeBron James break his scoring record, but is he really BS or real?